Hey, thanks for joining me again. This is John Anderson, that franchise guy. Oh, it's like magic. Um, and welcome to the video today. We're really excited to have Rob Palmer with us. Rob is the founder of uh, Lawn Squad, and he's going to tell us a little bit about the opportunity with Lawn Squad, what's unique about it, and maybe that's a great place to start. Rob, introduce yourself, welcome, and tell us a little bit about Lawn Squad.
John, appreciate you having me on. Yeah, Lawn Squad is obviously for the past 23 years, we ran under the name Weed Pro. It was a
Mm.
company that I started back in 2001. And throughout that time, we continued to grow the company, scale it really, and continue to move south. So we started the company in Cleveland, Ohio, eventually started opening operations in Columbus, Ohio, which is about 2 hours south of Cleveland. And then eventually went an additional 2 hours south into Cincinnati, Ohio. So covering, 14, 15,000 customers and really coming down the center of the state from Cleveland, Columbus, and Cincinnati. And it's been a great run for us. It just so happens that about a year ago, almost actually, it was a year ago Friday, that Authority Brands purchased the company, and we have been in the process now of establishing it as a national franchise. And I'm proud to say that as of today, we've got 5 franchises up and running, with more to come over the next few years.
That's awesome. Well, you have a fantastic partner in Authority Brands. I've worked with a number of their brands over the years. I think we talked about maybe, um, and so they bring a lot of expertise in franchising, a lot of resources with the systems and the processes that they can bring to the table to a business like yours and help scale it for a nationwide franchise for sure. So, uh, tell us a little bit about. So now you're rolling as a franchise. You've got five out there. Have you started to get a sense for, who would be a great candidate
Yeah.
for this business? What type of person maybe is watching this? And if you're watching this on the recording, this is well, it's now April 2024, and so what kind of person would be interested in the benefit of running Lawn Squad?
Yeah, I've seen actually kind of two directions right now in the year that we've been doing this. The first one is obviously is folks that maybe already in the industry of some sorts. Maybe
Hmm.
they're in the mowing portion of the industry or the landscaping end of the business, and they really want to kind of focus in on one particular aspect, which is what we do, lawn care. We're a fertilization company that handles weed control, insect control, do a number of other services like pour aeration and overseeding. But some of these first few that have come on actually have had some of that background in mowing. And what they've found is they didn't want to kind of get overwhelmed again with all these trucks and trailers and all these different pieces of mowers and string trimmers. So they had a background of working outside, working for consumers, a service-based type business. But I think the what they all wanted to continue to do was to continue to work outside, maybe in a little bit different aspect. And they were looking for that business in a box type scenario, and that's exactly what Lawn Squad really brings to them, is the ability to be trained on how to take care of the applications, trained on the agronomics, the different turf types, the different types of weeds and insects, taught how to perform customer service,
Yeah.
how to use the software that comes associated with the Lawn Squad franchise. So really, it was the two types of people we saw were the folks that were within the industry but wanted to focus in a specific area, and really, the other type of franchisee that we've seen coming on board are folks with absolutely no background, with
Hmm.
people that have been in the manufacturing world, or folks that were in the cleaning business. Really, nothing associated with lawn care, and that's, I think, the best thing about franchising to me is the fact that you're taking my 23 years of experience and my team's 23 years of experience. The fact that we've done over 1 million applications on customers' lawns, and we can now transfer all that information directly to them so
Yeah.
that they can be up and running in a matter of weeks.
Well, I think that's maybe even a good slight segue too to talk a little bit more about the nuances between what you do and maybe what somebody who looks at the name of the business, Lawn Squad, and
Yeah,
thinks, oh well, they're going out and cutting grass.
right.
So you talk a little bit more about those distinctions and why that makes a better franchise model for somebody who wants to scale a business, maybe an executive who wants to leave what he
Yeah.
or she has been doing and create something that they can create that's their own and do
Yeah.
it in an outdoor environment, working with the customers and
Yep.
the community and enjoying that.
Absolutely. So, you think, and it's a great question, Lawn Squad. Obviously refers to lawn and a
Mhm.
squad, a team of folks that are taking care of the lawn. And while we focus really precisely on turf care, on turf health, and really taking the American dream, that house with that lawn, and trying to make that lawn as green as possible with no weeds and safe from insects and turf diseases, etc. Really accentuating the value of that house with that curb appeal. We've decided to focus in on that sliver 23 years ago because there's an entire ecosystem built around that. Some of the largest brands in the entire industry, like True Green ChemLawn and
Mhm.
Scott's Lawn Service and Lesco, these are big brands that are dedicated to just working in this space. And what I really liked about it, candidly myself, was the fact that you talk about one guy in a van that's got his equipment and he's going out and doing 20-25 lawns a day versus pulling a large trailer with multiple mowers and probably doing fewer services a day with a lot more overhead, a lot more steel to pay for. And so I always liked this part of the business because we could scale it much quicker. It
Yeah.
was direct to consumer, the ads, the direct mail, etc. They all really resonate well because people want to care for that investment they've had. And nothing proved to me more than what we all went through just a few years ago, and the fact that when all these restrictions and we were staying in our homes and not getting out, the amount of phone calls that we got in the office because people were putting so much time and effort into really maximizing what they had and what they
Yeah.
owned. And lawn care is it's a high volume. You get a lot of customers in this business, but you're talking 65, $70 an application. People are going to spend the money to really take care of what they have and what they're pulling into every single day. So it's a great business that can be modeled out fairly easily. And I think it lends itself to franchising really, really well.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And again, to kind of revisit that um, partnership, if you will, with Authority Brands, I know
Yeah.
one of their specialties, if well, they've got a lot of specialties. One of the things they're particularly good at with their systems is marketing.
Oh yeah.
And so, talk a little bit about what the marketing support looks like and what is this day to day. So I'm gonna just prepare everybody that Lawn Squad is going to handle the a lot of the marketing in terms of how. Obviously, you, the franchise owner, are going to pay for it. So what?
So what?
So talk about that. Uh,
Mhm.
then what are they doing every day? The primary activities.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is kind of that whole business and bot concept, and what where I thought where I think Weed Pro kind of lent itself to Lawn Squad in the fact that we we had been marketing for 23 years, and one of the things that we've always done is really done a lot of attribution to really understand, the best way to maximize a dollar and spend.
Mhm.
And when we combined that 23 years of A/B testing and all that experience working with Google and SEO and direct mail and all these different marketing sources, we combine that with the power of Authority Brands,
Yeah.
the experience they have in marketing. It's been like the bionic man to some extent. We've already seen just exponential improvements in some of our marketing results. And as an individual owner for the previous 23 years, we always wanted to hire that big agency, right? Well, now I've got one of the biggest agencies in the world, Authority Brands Marketing, who are so good at what they do. And I think in our case, then we are not only handling the marketing and all the marketing strategy, but we're also handling an in-house call center. So we're handling
Mhm.
all of the incoming calls coming from all that lead generation because we wanted to maximize, as I said before, we wanted to maximize every dollar spent. So you're taking a call center now that has been handling the calls for Cleveland, Columbus, and Cincinnati, and now we're handling calls for Aurora, Illinois, Murfreesboro,
Right.
Nashville, Tennessee, etc., with the same experience that they've had selling for internally for 23 years. So we're not outsourcing that. So we actually internally call it smarketing because it's the combination overlay of marketing right on top of that experienced sales force. And that's how I think you get the best return on every marketing dollar spent.
And I'm glad you brought that up because that's, the The next
Yeah.
question was going to be, is this something that, you know, is home based, or do you have to have an office? And then that leads into, again, what is the franchisee doing every day? And you might even touch on, you know, obviously the first 6 months and year three are going to look a little bit different, but you know, what are the, you know, what can someone expect to do in the
Yeah.
day-to-day operations?
And that's really what it comes down to. We've, as we've onboarded our first 5 franchises, the emphasis and the focus has really been on teaching these folks how to perform an application, how to identify and make it suggestions and recommendations to the consumer, how to really build a team, how to go out there and hire a staff, how to train them, how to teach them, how to do all the maintenance on their equipment, and so on and so forth. Because while they're doing all this, the phones are ringing and they're being answered at obviously a large percentage of those calls, and they're being sold. We call them our one-step sales process, where we take the call, measure it online, give the quote, make the sale, and we enter that information into the system. And the franchise, no matter where they're at, see the sales coming in, so they can really put a lot of their focus, a lot of their attention on really working and dealing with the customer to maximize the performance of that application, to make sure that your retention rates are fantastic. Your call customer service rates are impressive, and really try to leverage that relationship with the customer. So we've tried to take a lot of the back end, the back office things away from them. We're answering the phone, we're entering in the sales, allowing them to really to be free to grow their teams and grow their customer bases on a daily basis.
So what you're telling me is the marketing is done, the advertisement is done, the phone's ringing, and your team is answering the phone for the franchisee, but not to schedule an estimate, right? They're actually booking clients.
Yes, that's
And then
exactly right. That's
wow.
exactly right. We call that the one-step sales process. And our experience shows us that customers, when they call in here, lawn care it needs to be hassle-free. We
Mhm.
can measure that lawn online within a matter of 10, 15 seconds. And we're usually proposing a price on a full program within 4 to 5 minutes. It takes probably longer to collect all the payment information, because we collect all the payment information right up front, get that entered into the system, set up their online account. That information is in the system. The franchisee in their location is just seeing the sales come through. They're doing their own routing,
Yeah.
doing their own hiring, and performing all the applications. All those back end functions are being taken care of. Everything is on an auto pay system, so credit card is collected at the point of sale. And that's why I think it's a really scalable solution to try to maximize performance
Yeah.
of every franchise throughout the country.
No, that's awesome. And so you really don't, like a lot of franchises I work with, they zero in on salespeople make great franchisees. It sounds to me like the sales component is taken out of the equation here. So it's really good for somebody who's into operations, right?
Yeah.
Somebody who's a good leader, somebody who's a good project manager, who can talk to a customer and engage. Now, I would think, and maybe you can talk to this a little bit too. What's the goal, or where do you see most franchisees within year, 2, 3 years?
Yeah.
How many crews are running? I mean, obviously they're not just
Right.
running one, they're not going out there and doing the applications.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, that's again, I can go back to that, and I know I've referred to it a few times. One of the differences in lawn care is you're talking about one guy in a truck that can typically handle, obviously not in their first few years, because getting density built up on their route
Yeah.
is really, really important. But you'll get that thing built up in 2 to 3 years, where one technician is taking care of 600 to 700 customers. And the way the program works is they're out about every 35 days doing round one, 35 days later round two, 35 days round three, all the way through rounds 6, 7, and 8. So you'll basically what you'll end up finding is you're going to produce a significant amount of revenue out of one vehicle. But we have scaled them out. One of the processes we go through with each one is we build out a 5-year sales pro forma with them.
Okay.
We really calibrate that based off of the marketing spend. And I said in the early stages of this conversation, this business is very formulaic, meaning if we have an idea what that marketing spend is, we can project out what that customer count looks like, and then based on average, customer value, we have a really good idea where you're going to finish at the end of year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, and year 5. And one of the things that I learned coming into this business, because I'm fairly new to franchising, was that we wanted to try to get franchises that were interested in growing their business. And if they were putting the right amount of money into their marketing spend, We wanted to see them grow that business to, 200,000, 400,000, and get them to $1 million in a said period of time, all based on marketing spends. Because the great thing about lawn care is it's recurring revenue. You finish the year one doing $250,000. Well, when you turn the year, that $250,000 is booked and ready to go for the following year. And now you're going to add another $300,000 if you're spending the right amount of money and doing the right type of application. So the fact that it's a recurring revenue model, on top of the fact that the sales process we've made as easy as we can, is we think we can see exponential growth coming into year 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah, that makes sense for sure. What and having all of your experience in the northern part of the country, I'm sure you can speak to this personally too. But
Mhm.
so what is going on with the seasonality of the business?
Yeah.
Is this probably in most parts of the country not going to be a 12-month program? Um,
Excellent question. Yeah, that's a great question, because there's really three sections of the country. Up north is the cool season grass. You get to the middle part of the country, it's actually called transition grass.
mhm.
And then obviously in the south, it's called southern grasses or warm season grasses. And so we've already, in fact, one of our first franchises, actually our first franchise was in Macon, Georgia. So we're talking warm season grass. And so in that particular case, they're looking at 8, 9 applications a year. So they're pretty much going 11, 12 months a year. As you begin to move further north, right, the year gets a little bit shorter. So it's a great cash model business though, because in the world of lawn care, one of the things that's kind of unique is that we may run February through November, but usually in about November, folks are conditioned to begin prepaying for the next year, which doesn't start till February, but we'll collect 35-40% of our revenue during those 2 months in the off season up north, prepaying for the season for the following season. So while production may end up north in, let's say first week of December, just after Thanksgiving, that's when actually the revenues really begin to ramp up, because a good percentage of your customers is already beginning to prepay for the following season. So I've always likened lawn care to one of the best cash flow businesses there were, because you're generating revenue as you're producing revenue, and then you're generating revenue as they're prepaying for the following season.
Interesting. Really, really interesting business. Um, and what does it take to get started with a Lawn Squad franchise?
Yeah, we've got an FDD posted out there.
Mhm.
In the item 7, it gives you kind of a range, as
Yeah.
all know that are looking at your franchise. They try to give you a range, and ours starts in that $127,000 range and can go up to about $150,000 to get started in this business. That's going to include obviously your franchise fee, which for us, we charge a territory that's 100,000 single family homes, which is quite a large territory.
Yeah.
It's $45,000 fee for that, and our royalties are about 7% of cash collected.
Okay.
And so, but in general, your biggest expenses getting started out, it really fall under two buckets. You got to get your van that's fully equipped, and we don't actually walk. And technology has changed. We use all ride-on machines that are calibrated precisely to distribute the fertilizer appropriately and the weed control at the same time. So the really 75% of your startup costs are really in equipping your business with your van and your ride-on spreader. Um, After that, all the expenses are pretty similar to starting up any other business, where you're getting your insurances and
Right.
and all those type of things.
Very interesting. Well, and so it doesn't take a lot of money to get started. And it certainly sounds like it's a scalable business that people can build an executive income out of it. What else? I mean, as we wrap this up, and keeping in mind who's watching this is people
Yeah.
who are thinking about getting into a business of their own. What should we leave them with? What
Yeah.
kind of last thoughts?
You know what? I think I kind of bring a unique perspective to this, because I was my own entrepreneur for 23 years, right?
Mhm.
And anytime I needed anything, whether it was a new marketing piece, or wanted to figure out some different insurance options, or wanted to buy a new phone system, we had to make 30, 40 calls, right? We had to find out what's the best product, what's the best service, what's the best solution. And what I really come to appreciate and absolutely love about franchising, and really what Authority Brands has done. They've created an entire ecosystem around you. They've got
Mhm.
marketing experts, they've got insurance experts, they've got all the experts you need to really start your business. And thinking back to some of the pain that I went through for 23 years of running my own business, I realize now that basically what my mission in life now is, my pain equals your gain.
Yeah.
You're not just getting my 23 years of experience, but you're getting the experience of Authority Brands, who has 16 other brands and 2,000 additional territories, 1,000 other franchises, and they've built an ecosystem around supporting that group so that they can be as good as they can be. And so I would just tell you that I think if you're looking for an opportunity, but you may not have the expertise in it, but you have the passion, and you want to grow as an individual, franchising is the way to go. And I hope Lawn Squad might be an option for you.
Absolutely. Way to wrap it up. And I couldn't have was looking for something I could add to that, but I tell people all the time, yeah, you could do things like this on your own. I
Yeah,
mean, you could get a painting, you could do a lot of franchise models on your own. But you're not going to do it as fast, you're not going to do it as well, or ever get as big. And
no,
that last piece of being able to get as big as you're capable of
yep,
is where franchising really, I think, earns its keep. And
yep,
and certainly with your expertise in the industry and the support of Authority Brands and their systems, it's a real win-win opportunity, I think. So
yep.
if you would like more, you're watching this, you're kind of intrigued, want to ask some more questions, you can reach me at thatfranchiseguy.com, John at thatfranchiseguy.com, or right here on LinkedIn or my YouTube channel, wherever you're watching this today. I appreciate it. Always honored for those of you who take the time to watch the videos we do. And Rob, thanks so much for joining me today, talking a little bit about Lawn Squad. Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate you, John.